Today's coverage of the Brickyard 400 for NASCAR '07 on this Mark Martin Revenge Tour season. Second consecutive day of doing a race on this season on NASCAR '07. And we're coming in off a win in last night's race at the Phoenix International Raceway. In that race at Phoenix, I was able to go wire to wire, leading all 312 laps from the pole today. In the Brickyard 400, we are also starting on the pole. Doubt I'm going to go wire to wire in this one. I was 10th fastest in practice, made slight adjustment change, really just kind of bumped up the air pressure a few pounds all the way around, and that really helped on my qualifying lap at least, so we'll see how this is going to handle. Hopefully I don't get too far back in traffic in this one. I'm going to try to stay towards the front of the field as much as I can. Unfortunate side of things is in practice, I did not get any sort of laps in the draft on the straightaways and in dirty air in the middle of the corners, so it's going to be a guess as to whether or not this thing is going to handle in traffic. Another reason why I want to try to stay at the front of the field as much as I possibly can. But appreciate everybody tuning in here today. Sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more NASCAR content. And although real NASCAR is not racing this weekend, we are racing right here at Indianapolis. A week after, of course, NASCAR Real Life went to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Didn't get a great launch there on that restart. Jimmy Johnson actually got into my right rear corner panel a little bit, and that boosted me forward in the short chute. And still side by side with Tony Stewart. Can't break clear. Oh boy. 3 wide at Indy. Oh my goodness. What a move by Kurt Busch. I don't know how I held the outside as well as I did there. He's got 5 bonus points for leading the opening lap of the race by inches over Kurt Busch. Oh man. I kind of bounced off the wall and shot me to the bottom, and I'm able to get back to the inside of the 2. Here comes Jimmy. What is this right now? This is like a pack race at Indy. Sailed it off into turn 3. Finally clear. That was a stressful start to this race. My goodness. Everybody's breathing down my neck early. I'm not going to lie, when we went into turn 3 on that first lap 3 wide and I was in the middle, I didn't think I was going to be able to hold it in the center lane. I did keep the air pressure from where it was in qualifying. I didn't make any adjustments after qualifying. I figured I picked up speed there, that I was just going to keep it. So I'm really hoping that the car doesn't get too loose on the long runs in particular. I'm doing well right now. I mean, there's a lot of pressure behind me, but I do have quite a bit of downforce in this thing, so I'm not going to really pull them on the straightaways, especially if they're able to be close enough to stay in the draft. So I'm not sure exactly what kind of pit strategy I might pull to break away from the field if possible. Because obviously qualifying on the pole, you would think there's good single car speed in it. Jimmy Johnson to the inside. Couldn't clear off of 3 into 4. He is clear. Martin to the inside. He's going to try to get back in front of Johnson. Johnson just led that lap. 5 bonus points for him now. Tell you what, we've got some good racing at Indy right now. What a battle up here. Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin. Watching the stream at the lake. That sounds like a good time. Tony Stewart in the mix back there in fourth also. Mudhen's game tonight. Yeah, I'll be there tonight. 7 o'clock. Had to break the draft a little bit here on the back straightaway. Oh, Kurt. Kurt got into my left rear a little bit there. They're just able to drive it into turn 3 a lot deeper than I can. Second time I've gotten a little tap from behind. That time I held on to the lead, though. Did they win last night? I didn't even look, honestly. I usually don't pay attention to AAA. Going because my dad was able to get tickets through his work, so he had 4 tickets for tonight. Yeah, I'm definitely not sure what kind of fuel strategy we're going to have in this one. I did see Mark in the chat put about 35 laps for each run. If that's the case, it's definitely going to be a 4-stop race. We have not raced at Indy yet on this game, obviously because Indianapolis is not the truck or the Busch Series. So this is our first trip to Indy on NASCAR 07, so I have zero clue what the fuel run's exactly going to look like. Yeah, Kenseth up here too, of course. Tell you what, man, it is a battle up here. I mean, it is so tightly contested. Oh. That just killed my speed down the straightaway. Threw kind of a half block on Johnson. I'm surprised he didn't go lower. Oh, a little contact. Johnson and Kenseth got up into the wall in turn 2. We stay green. Allows for Martin to break away from the field of cars behind him just a little. So Mark Martin has never won the Brickyard 400 through his entire NASCAR Cup Series career. Of course, the first handful of years never got a chance. NASCAR didn't start going to Indianapolis Motor Speedway until 1994. but we will see. And Kenton and Johnson fell way behind where they made contact battling for second and got up into the wall. Again, that took place at turn 2 about 2 laps ago now, and they're nowhere to be found all of a sudden. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race. Early going in the Brickyard 400. Like I said, handling in clean air feels great, but I never really was in the draft at all in practice, so I don't, know how it's going to be in dirty air. Johnson did lead 1 lap in here, but I was able to basically cross him over when he cleared me off 4. Got him back in turn 1, so didn't have to deal with any dirty air for a corner, despite not leading 1 of the 12 laps we've completed so far. Trying to continue to add on to that lap sled category. Try to go for the record for the most lap sled in a single season. Fourth person going, and my grandpa. My grandpa and I, and then my parents are going. Greg Biffle going for P2 underneath Stewart. Biffle had a top 5 at Phoenix last night, finishing in 3rd. Yeah, 1 car slow on pit road. Our first engine failure of the day. No clue exactly who it is. This camera angle throws me off sometimes. Something about this game with it, it looks very twitchy. The other EA games, it doesn't feel like the hood camera is like that. It's like every time I touch the analog stick, the camera wants to move more than the car. Kurt Busch back up here again. Lost a couple spots, but he has found his way to second. That 2 looks fast. He almost got around me on the first lap of the race. He's putting a lot of pressure on me right now in the front stretch, too. Blocking back and forth. But he might have given up the bottom through turn 1, and Biffle may get back underneath him again. Nope. Nope. Trying to keep the 16 behind me. He was making some moves. Mirror driving. Here he comes again. Oh, I sailed it way too deep into the corner. So did he, though. He went wide. Tony's going to get underneath him. Otherwise, I think if he could have kept his car pinned on the bottom, I think he was going to get me that time. We both overdrove it. Haven't hit halfway out of gas yet. We're at lap 18. We can definitely make it at least 34, 35 laps. We'd probably be saving more gas if we were in the draft right now, but I feel like I am fast enough to at least hold on to the lead, which is why I have for the most part. Ever since you found my channel, you've changed your perspective on what good racing actually is. Well, now I'm curious to know what you think good racing is. Or what you thought it was before to where it is now. The good news is that this car is handling well. Let me Stewart just overdrove turn 2. Oh, open up your perspective on what great racing. I misread your comment, by the way. I apologize for that. And NASCAR's definitely had some great racing over the years. No, different one. Different grandpa. Same side of the family, though. Technically, he's not like my blood-related grandpa, but... Oh my gosh. What was that? How did I hold on to the lead? I mean, obviously with my car handling as well as it is right now, that's one reason I'm able to hold on to the lead. Another reason, it's just so hard to pass at this racetrack. And I think that's why you're seeing so many cars under a blanket. But unless they're all in dirty air, they're able to pass each other, but they're not able to get by me. And I just wonder if I lose the lead for like more than a lap at a time, if the same thing would happen on my end. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. I got loose. I got loose. I got way loose. I don't know how I saved it. Had to use the excess road to do it. Wow, I lost a lot of time there. I don't know how that happened. That was really out of nowhere. I mean, I thought the car was handling fine. And then all of a sudden it just snapped loose off of turn 3. There was no contact. I don't know how that happened. I'm confused. It was handling great for 22 laps, and then one corner it just decided to snap on me. I was fine that time. Well, now we're back to 12th. I'm lucky I was able to get to that access road to save it. Looked like for a minute there it was pointed towards the inside wall. I didn't think it was going to end well. Actually stayed green through everything. And now Greg Biffle leads. I don't know if I got arrow loose. The 16 out of my heels. I really don't know how I did that. Use the draft, try to get by Michael Waltrip here. Dig, 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 dig. I couldn't clear him. Honestly thought I was going to get more of a pull in the draft there. Ay, ay, ay. We're good. Get him this straightaway. Jeff Gordon helping the guy out there. Yeah, I can definitely make it on 3 stops in this race. I don't know that I can say the same for everybody else, but I definitely know that I can make it on 3 stops. Trying to get by Jeff Gordon. Oh, I'm there. Hello. Who's got in the Hall of Fame? So it was just my grandma's been remarried multiple times. So it was a different one from that side of the family. I call them all grandpa. You know, I don't have like a specific like title for all of them. So they technically all be like step grandpas, but well, except for oh, Jimmy Johnson really fell back too. That was when he got in the wall with Kenseth then. A lot of cars to pass. Jeff Green in the top 10. Jeff Green is in the top 10 right now in the 66. That's a Haas car, isn't it? I don't think it was MBM at the time. Maybe it is. Look at Jeff Green go. I'm just following Jimmy Johnson by all 3 of these cars. By Newman, Green, and Harvick. Go, Jimmy. Passed 3 cars in 2 turns. 51.954 that last lap. Glad to know this car handles well in the draft. Really hoping to keep track position in this race today, but oh, there we go. Jimmy gets underneath Sadler as well. Well, all right. Now I just got to get by the 48. It's not going to be easy. Exhibit A. It's blocking my every move. There we go. I'm there. I'm not going to clear him, though. No, yeah, I did. Okay. I didn't think I was going to clear him. I think I was able to get that draft off Kenseth in front of me, and it was just enough to help me off turn 2. Kenseth overdrove turn 3. Tell you what, I'm ripping back up here, though. Making passing look easy at this track. Let's go. I'm curious to know how far everybody else is going to be able to go on fuel. You know, is it going to be vastly different like it was at Phoenix last night, or is it going to be normal? I know I can make it past lap 40 based off of how I ran the first half of the run. I didn't get to halfway out of gas to lap 24. So I could probably go a few laps after lap 40 pretty easily. Stewart going wide off turn 4. Couldn't get underneath him that time. Stays wide in turn 2. There we go. There we go. Dang, man. Just can't clear him. Can I clear him this time? Oh boy, that I wasn't trying to move up that aggressively, but luckily I was clear. I could have easily right hooked myself into the wall there. That was more aggressive than I was hoping it was going to look, but it worked. And Gen 4 cars definitely have had amazing racing over the years. I would have liked to have seen what this race car, the Gen 4, could have done on 1.5 miles in today's NASCAR. And I know they were the same tracks, but the reason why I say that is because at the time that the Gen 4 raced on as many 1.5 mile tracks as I did, you got to remember a lot of those tracks were just built in the late 90s, early 2000s. So the asphalt didn't have a lot of wear and tear through 2006, 2007 at the end of the Gen 4 racing on those style of racetracks. You know, those tracks like a Kansas was just built in 2001. Its first cup races there. They were only racing there once a year, so it really only had like 6, 7 races on it. It wasn't the Kansas Speedway we know of today, with a lot of tire degradation. Oh, Tony's there. What a move. Oh, boy. Got a little loose out of turn 3 again, and Stewart was under me. I'm so sorry. Good Lord. Wasn't trying to do any of that. Oh. Contact between the 20 and the 16 back there. Yeah, I've always heard that Fifth Third Field was like one of the better minor league ballparks too. I always liked it the few times I went there growing up. I haven't been there nearly as many times as Comerica Park, but it's a nice stadium for what it is. I'd still argue they got the best mascot in the minor leagues. And Muddy the Mud Hen. And then his wife is Madonna. But it's like M-U-D and then Donna. Mud Donna. Kenseth coming onto pit road. Stewart almost got to that left rear corner panel of Mark Martin. Martin a little extra acceleration on the front straightaway with Biffle in the draft behind him on the outside. Stewart Biffle still door-to-door for second. I'm going to pit at lap 41. I know it could go a few laps beyond that, but just in case we get a caution, a lot of these cars are going to stay on the lead lap, so I don't want to put myself back in traffic if we get a weird yellow. Oh, you were at Kansas in 01. That's pretty cool. Inaugural Kansas race. Jeff Gordon won that day. Oh, unless you were talking about Fifth Third Field. Yeah, because now that you say that, the Kansas race was in the fall and not on Easter. Whoops. Tony Stewart just came in. We got a lot of cars pitting before lap 40, though. So in what looks like it is going to be a fuel mileage race today, there are quite a few cars not able to make it all the way through this opening fuel run. Only 3 drivers to lead any laps in today's race: Mark Martin, Greg Biffle, and Jimmy Johnson. Johnson with 1 lap led. Martin's led the most, and Biffle's led for a few. The say tires are holding on well. That's good. Aye, aye, aye. Catching some grass there on turn 4. At least it doesn't want to spin me out when I touch it like some other tracks. I barely clip the apron. I think it's because this track's so flat, that's why you can get away with it. You just clip the grass slightly. On this game, of course, not in real life. That wouldn't work out very well in real life. Probably bury the nose into the dirt and go straight up the track, violently into the outside wall. Take anybody that's battling for position with you. Especially if it was a restart. All right, so Mark Martin will pit this time. And it looks like Greg Biffle's pitting also. Gotta make sure we don't speed. Oh, that was a perfect pit road entry. That was beautiful. No adjustments, 4 tires and fuel. First pit stop of the race. So we know Biffle can go the distance on 2 more stops. We'll be able to go the distance on 2. So not everybody is looking to make this race on 3 stops, but a few of us are. So at least I know I'm not going to be able to pit one less time than everybody in the field like I did yesterday. My middle name is not John. Just throwing random false facts out there. Oh, Biffle getting out ahead of Mark Martin here. Now we're side by side. I gotta pass him in the grass. Whoa! Stewart and Johnson were already up to speed, and they got around us. Honestly, if I was in front of Biffle, I think I would have gotten up to speed way quicker. I was out of the gas holding up behind him, and then I'm like, I gotta go. He is holding me up a ton down there. Johnson going for the lead. Stewart technically didn't lead a lap there. And he's still not going to lead a lap. And here comes Martin underneath the 48. Clear off turn 4. Johnson might have popped the wall a little bit. Once the 6 pulled up in front of him. So Martin cycles right back into the lead. Technically, I don't think I lost the lead out of all that. Johnson fighting back to the inside of Stewart through turn 2. Yeah, went through a full fuel run at Indy and still no lap traffic. We got quite a ways until we have that become any sort of a factor today. Just how big this 2.5-mile racetrack is. And we'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the, or not the camera angles, the different drivers, excuse me. So we'll swap to Greg Biffle here first because he is in 4th place, not that far off the race lead. See Matt Kenseth in 5th back there. Johnson Stewart simultaneously going wide in turn 2. Full underneath Stewart. Pass made for 3rd. Oh boy. Johnson's just hanging on me. Now they're going to draft right by me on the back straightaway. Well, dang. Oh, boy. 48 car tried to squeeze in there. Just wasn't enough room for him. There we go. I'm perfectly okay with just sitting behind Mark Martin. Try to get these two to draft away a little bit. Ay, ay, ay. I didn't go all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, but he also came down on top of me. I was just trying to stay behind him, and then he went so wide, I was like, all right, I guess I'll go to the bottom. I made a late move. Johnson just did the exact same thing there. What's with people chopping my nose off? My goodness. Let's try this again. 3-stop race, shock lap traffic. Yeah, I mean, we'd literally... There's one lap car that I see that is anywhere somewhat close to the leaders. But then after that, I mean, we still got a big gap before the next car. Like, to get into heavy lap traffic, it's going to take a mighty long green flag run. This whole race might have to go green. We only had one caution last night. It was on lap 8 of 312 at Phoenix. So, I mean, you just never know exactly what could happen here. And now we'll swap to Matt Kenseth in the 17. It's a little less than 2 seconds off the lead in 5th. All four Roush cars did get up inside the top 10 yesterday. They all finished in the top 7. Kenseth under Stewart. Pass made for 4th. Could very well get 3 of these Roush Fenway cars into the top 3. Mark Martin's still doing a good job holding on to the lead. As I say that, he's now getting past. Maybe. Biffle didn't clear him. Johnson's going with the 16 here. That's probably going to hang the 6 out to dry. He may lose 2 positions out of that. Martin had plenty of time to get to the bottom in front of Kenseth there. Didn't want to go to the outside there, but such a big run. Ay, ay, ay. I was scared the 16 was going to chop me off and make contact. I saw him move down. I tried to give him as much room as I could. I'm lucky the bounces I've had off the curb have not been super violent. They've thrown me into the car on the outside. Old Johnson trying to take control of this race now. And we'll be swapping to Jamie McMurray for the first time tonight at the line. And he is 16th. So 16th place for Jamie McMurray. Definitely got a little bit of a ways to get up into the top 10. Kyle Busch, Dale Jarrett, Dale Jr. all by him in the running order. Good news is running mid-pack on a track like this, I don't think he's going to have to worry about going a lap down. Yeah, Johnson's definitely got a good car. If a Roush car doesn't win this one, he and then Kurt Busch was really quick. He kind of fell behind on those green flag pit stops, so I don't think he's in the top 5 anymore. But Kurt Busch could get track position. He also could be a contender. Ryan Berwick, thanks for tuning in also. I've only seen one driver blow an engine. It was in the very early laps of this race. And again, we are caution free. We haven't had a yellow since lap 8 at Phoenix last night out of 312. So well over a full race without a yellow at this point. Combined. Hadn't had a caution-free one yet in the Cup Series. Maybe today changes that. Swap back to Mark Martin. Mark back in the 4th place position. Kenseth Johnson slowly pulling away. Martin all the way to the inside. Had a run in the draft there, trying to carry this momentum into 3. Yep. Be able to get underneath the 16. Clear Greg Biffle with a clean pass. Well, there we go. I do think when I have the track position, I have the fastest car in the field. Beamer 66, thanks for tuning in. Greetings from the UK. A little later in the afternoon for you. Appreciate you tuning in. Gonna be hungry after this? Yeah, I haven't eaten much today. I did plan on going out to eat before going to the game tonight, so. Plenty of time to do that. You know what? Yeah, I was going to say, I'll let him come down the track a little bit. That keeps him out of the draft, although they didn't really do much for me. I'm still behind him into turn 3. There we go. There we go. I pulled out of line at like the perfect time there. I wanted to get as much draft as I could before I tried to make the move. I couldn't have timed it any better. There we go, baby. Back to P1. Well, I can see the first lap car of the race up here. First of a few. I have zero clue what this is going to do for my ability to try to stay in the lead. Nah, I'm not hungry at the moment. Hungry for a win. I'm thirsty for milk because it's Indianapolis. Not quite close enough to get a draft off of this 15 car. I think it's Paul Menard. Looks like the 15. There we go. Now we're getting a little bit of a pull. Well, there we go. I mean, I get it's an Indy 500 tradition for the drinking the milk, but the Indy 500 winners have taken over the tradition of kissing the bricks as well. So it's like I feel like if they can take a NASCAR tradition and put it into their own, which already has a ton of tradition to it. I feel like NASCAR could, at the very least, get some milk. I'm not saying you got to give them the Borg Warner Trophy. I'm just saying that you got to feel like if one could take one, could take the other. What am I doing tonight? I got a minor league baseball game I'm attending. I went to a Toledo Mud Hens game. Mr. Cup Series Racing, thanks for tuning in. Not quite halfway in this one yet. Getting there. Slowly. Still caution free at Indy. A lot of racing to go. The amount of times I've seen second place out of my rearview mirror change for position in this race, and not just between these two. I mean, back when Tony Stewart was up here, Kurt Busch was up there, Greg Biffle. A couple times I've fallen out of the lead and fell to second. Like, what is going on? Seen more passes at Indy already today than what we saw in the entirety of the actual Brickyard 400 last week. Especially for the lead. Which has only been a couple, but pretty much all it was last week outside of, flip-flopping on the track position strategy with pit stops. That was about the only time we saw anybody pass the leader. Between that and that second to last restart when Larson got by Blaney, but Blaney also was not in the preferred lane, so that didn't really help his case. Wasn't his fault, obviously. Brad ran out of gas. Need to run this package in. I think this package is making it a little more racy than what it actually would have been. This is a video game. Indy's always going to be a track position race with stock cars. It doesn't matter what kind of car you have out there. So I'm not complaining. So Paul Menard and David Stremme have both gone a lap down here in the early going. At least I'm passing the lap cars pretty easily. First corner, I get a chance to make the pass on him. I passed him. Passed and cleared him, same corner. I think there's two cars out of the race. I see another car on pit road. Might have blown an engine. Considering we're not in the... Oh boy. Just about lost the lead there. That was a close one. Yeah, an increase in horsepower could create more passing opportunities, I guess. No shifting, because there has been shifting with this next-gen car at Indy, too. arc the turns more, might help me pull away more. Well, the only problem with that is because they get so much of a run at the end of the straightaway. I'll run the top like on the straightaway, but I pull down early to make sure I can get to the bottom before they could stick their nose in there. Because there was a couple times in those first couple laps where they would get underneath me if I left the bottom even just a little bit open. They would try to cram it in there, especially in turn 3. Not as much in turn 1. I really don't think anybody's going to pull away in this one. Like, even when I've not been in the lead, like, the leader can't pull away. It's just the draft. So strong. Like, if I would have tried to arc the corner off right there, Johnson definitely would have gotten underneath me. He was pretty close. On that defensive line to protect. It's just something about these flat racetracks. Having a lot of grip. A lot of grip and a lot of speed. I don't have the pull-away speed here like I do at some of the shorter tracks that are flat, but again, I think it's largely due to the draft. Because even my pole time, like I qualified on the pole, but it wasn't by much. I think I had a .127. Tony Stewart, who qualified second, had a .154. Wow, I was giving Johnson room through turn 1. He got underneath me that time, but I had such a good corner exit that I was able to clear him before getting into turn 2 again. We are getting close to that second of 3 pit stops in this race today. Well, Kenseth's going to get underneath in turn 1 as well. Oh boy, got loose, got loose. Hang on to it. Try to get back to him again. Stay tight to the bottom. Couldn't clear him, though. And he's going to lead this lap. I think that was the first lap led for Kenseth today, so 5 bonus points for him. Come on. Feel this car getting a little looser at this point in the run. That's how Kenseth was able to get around me. Granted, I was in the outside lane, but starting to free up really late in the tire stint now. And Kenseth again underneath Martin. God bless America. There you go, got him back again. I mean, considering that Kenseth and Johnson both pit before lap 40, I would imagine they'll pit before lap 80 as well. I mean, they should be pitting any lap here. That'll give me a pretty big lead until I pit. I haven't even hit a quarter tank of gas left. I'm saving even more this run than what I did the run before that. I mean, I'll stay out of the pits as long as I want to this time. Got far enough into the screen flag run and might be able to lap quite a few cars if we get a caution. I'm fast enough that, you know, if I cycle back a little bit in traffic, I'll be all right, you know, if I'm still within the top dozen or so. Here we are, lap 77. Kenseth just pit that time by. There are cars exiting pit road as we speak. Jimmie Johnson stayed out at least one more lap. So he'll keep the pressure on Mark Martin to try to hold on to the lead for at least a little bit longer. See if Jimmie Johnson makes his way to pit road this time. Off turn 4, he will not make the big left-hand turn to pit road on the front stretch. So Johnson trying to stretch his window to lap 80. Jimmie finished second at Phoenix last night to Mark Martin. Martin definitely looking to try to lead the most in this race here today as well. To break the draft on that 48 car a little on the back straightaway. Johnson made it to lap 79 this time. I haven't seen Greg Biffle or Jamie McMurray hit pit road yet either. Yeah, I'm thinking Kenseth's definitely got to pit 4 times. I still haven't hit a quarter tank of gas left at this point in the run. Johnson pitting coming to lap 80, so he's about a lap or 2 short, maybe a lap each run to make it on 2 stops. Corey LaJoie retiring after 2024? I didn't see anything about that. I know he's not going to be in the Spire card next year, but I didn't hear anything about him retiring. He's only, what, 31? He's like early 30s. One less stop for me in Biffle. Yeah, I haven't seen McMurray pit either. Lap 81 here. Honestly, I might be able to make it to about lap 90 before I have to pit. If there's a way to make it to lap 95, can I actually make this race on 2 stops? I would like to think I'm not going to make it that far, but I mean, that would help beat the guys on the same strategy as me. Just ran my fastest lap of the race, 51.788. Caught a lot of draft behind David Stremme on the front straightaway there. Retiring at the same time? I don't know. I feel if he was retiring, he would have just came out and said that, not that Spire Motorsports would come out with a statement saying that he was going to part ways. That they were going to part ways with Corey LaJoie. So I don't know about that. Still got cars making their second stops. And I'm kind of wishing I would have tried to stretch the first run out as long as I could. I maybe could have made this thing on 2 stops. I was able to back up way more fuel this run. It's probably because I didn't lead as many laps as I did the first run, so I was staying in the draft a little more. It's my best guess. Second lead on whoever's in second place. Jamie McMurray just came into the pits. Lap 84. I guess if I were to make this thing on one more stop, I'd have to go to lap 100 at this point, not 95. I don't know why I was thinking 95, but so I'd have to go 60 and 60. Hit at lap 41, so I guess technically it'd be 59, 60. Another fast lap, 51.746. A couple thousandths of a second quicker than the original fast lap of the race from a few laps ago. I do think I can easily make it to lap 90. I'll probably make it a couple laps after lap 90 and then bring it in. Like I said, we get a caution. We're going to trap a lot of cars a lap down. Might as well keep trying to roll with it here. Haven't really had to deal with a lot of lap traffic either. For the most part, it's still staying with mostly clean air. There's been a lap car here and there. It hasn't been any different for the most part than what it was before the pit stops took place anyway. field's so spaced apart now, it would be tough just to get, clean air short pitting. Just with not having a caution this entire race to this point. .51.738. I didn't have any draft that time and I ran my quickest lap. The heck was that? Thought I pulled that out of my ass. Corey LaJoy turns 33 in September. Okay, so he's 32. I was thinking he was 31 for some reason. Yeah, I was only a year off. I still see him retiring. His early 30s. I don't know for a full-time ride, much else of where he could go. I'd assume, staying for a smaller team in the Cup Series, as long as he has it, he's content with doing that. I don't think he would want to run for a small tier team in an Xfinity or truck program. I don't know how good of a truck or Xfinity program he can get into. He was running part-time in the trucks with Spire Motorsports for a handful of races the last couple of years since they bought out Kyle Busch Motorsports. Well, technically this year, I guess, will be the first year them racing full-time after buying out Kyle Busch Motorsports and expanding there. So he has ran a couple truck races, but obviously if he's not with Spire anymore, I don't think he's going to go there with them. So I don't know what else is available really for him. I just saw Jeff Burton on the access road through turns 3 and 4 there. Had smoke coming out of the back of his car, so that's another engine failure we've seen today, at least 3 of them. Still don't know exactly who the first 2 were. I think he'll get a pit at lap 93. The only thing I could think of why I'm running quicker laps at the end of a run on several different tracks, I almost wonder if it's because they have a lighter fuel load, so the car just weighs less. It's the only thing I could think of that makes somewhat logical sense to me. Because obviously, clearly off tire wear alone, you would think that wouldn't be enough. More fuel and cleaner air, yeah, probably combination of the two. Bobby Labonte's been hoping I'd be coming to pit road every time I cross the start-finish line or work my way off turn 4, so he doesn't get stuck a lap down with a caution. He would get the free pass, but I mean, he's been like right on my tail. His fresher tires, staying in the draft. Just can't pass me. I am curious to see, though, where exactly I'm going to cross off of pit road. Gonna get back to the lead. Oh boy, I ran out way sooner than I thought I was going to. Oh no. I thought I had a couple laps left. I was gonna stay out this time by too, honestly. Oh man. Jeez. I'm hoping I get a push to pit road. I mean, at this, it's the only reason I'm staying on the racing surface. Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I have to take the access road, try to take a shortcut here. Oh, we're losing a ton of time. I ran out off of turn 2. Just creeping along. I honestly, the only reason I went as far as I did is because it didn't go to flashing red until right in the middle of my lap 89 lap. Usually get 4 or 5 more laps from that point, so I wasn't planning on pitting until lap 93. I was going to stay out 1 more lap. I made it to pit road. That's good. The problem is the leaders are passing me already, and I just made it into the pits. I should stay on the lead lap still, but I'm going to be pretty far back. I mean, that stings right there. Four tires, full tank of gas here. Ryan Blaney Gateway all over again. Oh, man. At least it wasn't the last lap. – 25th. Yeah, I'm still on the lead lap, obviously, but... Well... That did not go according to plan. Think I have enough speed to win? No. I'm 37 seconds off the lead. Like, it's not... I don't think I'm going to be able to recover from this. Now without a caution. I do have fresher tires going as long as I did. I mean, I have like 12 to 15 lap fresher tires than everybody else. Won by Denny Hamlin. I'll definitely get back up in the top 10. I don't know how many positions I'm actually going to get back. Depends how much lap traffic's going to hold up Matt Kenseth too. Honestly, didn't think that fresh tires was going to make this much of a difference. It looks like I'm on easy mode. I really didn't think fresh tires was going to matter that much here, honestly. I mean, that's the only good thing going as long as I did. Obviously, if I would have known I was at any risk of running out of gas, I would have pitted before that happened. But I honestly thought I had another couple laps in it yet, which is why I wasn't even going to pit that time by, and I ran out of gas off turn 2. Like, I was looking to extend that about a lap and a half further than I actually did. Yeah, I'm like a second and a half a lap faster. The problem is they're going to pit well before I get to them. And they're going to pit in about 24 laps or less. Some of them will. And, I mean, that's one thing to think of, too. There's only several drivers that can make this race on 3 stops. So I don't have to beat everybody trying to come back through this field. I've definitely made it a lot harder on myself, I'll tell you that much. I've led so many laps in this race, too. That might put me in jeopardy of not leading the most laps, depending on how many Kenseth's able to lead. And the transition that he's out in front, assuming he holds on to the lead for a lengthy period of time. Yeah, I'm like a lap and a half, 2 seconds a lap, or sorry, a second and a half to 2 seconds a lap faster. About 15 lap pressure tires on Kenseth. I think he pit at lap 77. I would have pit at lap 92. I do feel like all these cars are giving me a lot of room to pass them, though, so that's making it easy on me. Easier. Might win on pure speed. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm like over half a track behind still. Like, this is... The only good thing with that is this is such a large track. I was able to stay on the lead lap. When we get one caution, I think we'll be all right, but I'll bunch the field back together. Like I said, I have the speed now, but they're going to pit like 21 laps. Definitely not going to get to them by that. Then they'll have fresh tires again. I'm really racing the 16, maybe the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. I would assume Johnson's second, and then Greg Biffle would be in third. Because I know Biffle can make it on one more stop. Johnson might be able to make it on one more stop. He's really close. Kenseth is probably not. So although he's the leader, I don't think we're racing him for the win here. I like how my percentage in the chat of will I win or not in this race is at 89%. It was at 94 before I ran out of gas. Some of you guys have probably changed your prediction like, oh no, you ain't winning now. Lap 100. We might have a caution-free Brickyard 400 the way this race is going. Again, we have not had a caution-free cup race on NASCAR 7 yet on the channel, so well, we'll see. If we count the 300 laps to the end of the race caution-free yesterday, it's going to be 460 laps of consecutive NASCAR without a caution. We go caution-free in this one. Tomorrow we'll be racing at Homestead. Hit 5 to 10 laps after they pit. Yeah, I'll decide on when I'm going to pit once we get deeper into this run. I'm just really focused on trying to cut back into this lead for right now. I really probably just screwed myself over leading the most laps. So the only side of it, I could probably still lead the most laps and guarantee 10 bonus points if I stay out as long as I can again, because I'm going to be able to go about 15 laps more than Matt Kenseth on fuel. So at least I'll have that. Alternating through the different camera angles for the final time in the race now. A little less than 60 laps to go. Catching a lot of the draft off the back of Kyle Busch on the back straightaway. Busch got tight behind McMurray in line. .607 that last lap for Mark Martin. I think it was the first 51.6 I've ran this entire race. I had a 52.1 on my pole lap. It's insane how much faster you are in the draft around here. See, I was probably going to gain, more in the early part of the run, too, because the longer we go into this, my tires are going to wear out just a little bit more, and they're probably going to become more equal before they end up hitting pit road to get that advantage back on me again. These laps are going by quick. Like, it's already been 13 laps since I pitted this time by at the line, so, I mean, they're going by quick now that it's like a crunch time situation. We continue to stay green. Because I was a 1.5 to 2 seconds faster lap when I first came out of the pits. And I'm not that much faster anymore than them. So that initial burst of getting the fresh tires, those first like 5 laps or so, blistering fast. Just beat him by half a second a lap, you'll win. Easier said than done. It's very well possible Kenseth had a lot of lap traffic from when I first came out of the pits, which is why I was so much quicker a lap than him initially as well. Because it looks like he's got absolutely no traffic in front of him right now for quite some time. Every lap that I'm having to pass cars, it's just that much longer for me to get that lap completed. In the draft, it's fine until I catch up to them initially. I'll say I've been pretty successful passing cars quickly on this run so far, but to get all that draft off the 187 car in front of us. Did not need him pulling down in front of me in turn 2 there. Had to get out of the gas quite a bit just to keep it off of him. He gave me a lot of room in the chute. I thought he was just going to let me go. Trying to stay glued to that curb. Do I have the fastest car in the field? Yes. But I'm not that fast. If I would have ran out of gas on the other end of the track 3 and 4, I probably only would have been like a few seconds off the lead. But I ran out coming off turn 2 and had to go probably about 1.75 miles with no fuel in the car. And I'm just surprised I was able to make it back to pit road, honestly. Trying to get in the draft behind Tony Raines. Couldn't get a draft off him. I thought I was close enough to be able to get one. There we go. Now I'm close. That's not going to help. I clear? Yep. My spotter didn't call me clear, so I was a little hesitant pulling up in front of Tony that time. It worked though, we're all good. Gonna alternate through the different camera angles. Or we are doing that right now. I meant to say that we'll take our final driver swap here in a few laps. Pace is definitely slowing down as I'm getting deeper into this run. It's amazing how spread apart the cars are. Like, I feel like I passed like a half a dozen cars right out of the rip. I was 25th when I initially came out of the pits. And we've gone 21 laps, only gotten to 12th. Such a huge gap between the 12th and 13th place cars. Yeah, I mean, the big thing, I can't make any mistakes. I really haven't for the most part today. I got really loose very early in the race off turn 3. And yeah, Kenseth is coming into the pits here. Jimmy Johnson leads. I'm curious to see what my interval is going to be to Johnson, because Kenseth's not going to be able to make it on fuel the rest of this race. How far ahead of the 48 was he? Johnson might not even make it to the end on fuel in this race as well. Let's see at the line. 18.8 behind Johnson. Biffle, I would imagine, is in third. How far behind Greg Biffle am I? Because there's a very good chance he's going to be able to make it on fuel to the very finish. Yeah, could Johnson make it to lap 120 before he pits is the next question as well. Kenseth has made his way off pit road. It was only 0.3 quicker than Johnson that lap. I did make a little mistake off turn 4 if you didn't see that, but man, oh man. Oh, what are you doing, guy? He couldn't have crowded me any more there. I was only like 0.2, maybe 0.1 quicker than Johnson that last lap. Granted, the 192 car cost me a lot of time in turn 4. Get some draft again on the back straight. Johnson stays out of the pits coming to lap 118. He's got to go at least 2 more laps to make it on fuel here. Martin under the 178. Labonte slides down right to the bottom. I'm try to draft behind Labonte on the back straightaway here. There we go. Pull out a line, make the move into 3. Johnson stayed out. Biffle's still out on the track. I've already passed McMurray. I know he can make it on fuel to the finish. So Jimmy Johnson just pitted. at lap 119, so he is still looking to be about a lap short on fuel. So Jimmy Johnson is a lap short on gas. We're looking at Greg Biffle as being the driver who we have to catch for the win. And if he pits this time by, and you really got to wonder where we're at for fuel purposes for Biffle. Big run by the 6 of Martin. Squeezes his way to the bottom of the track in turn 3. I was below the curb. Honestly, it's probably good because if I hit the curb as tightly as Stewart held me there, I think we were going to make a lot of contact. Made a little contact in turn 4. Stewart was trying to get to the bottom so he could pit. "40 laps to go." I didn't see my interval to Biffle at the line that time. Trying to run down the Biff. I was running some of my faster laps of the race at the end of the last fuel run, so I'm going to try to take this as long as I can again, just for the lap time sake of things. Then I'll really get to see where I'm at. McMurray's coming down pit road right now. And Biffle's still out there on the track. I'm in second for now, but once I pit again, I probably won't be in second anymore. 13.5 seconds behind Biffle. I do think that that's who we're racing. So although I was 37.5 seconds off the lead, I initially came out of the pits. That was to Kenseth. But I think we're going to be racing Greg Biffle for the win here, because he should be able to make it on fuel to the end. And Biffle is pitting now, coming to 37 laps to go this time by. There'll be an official lead change at the start-finish line this time by. I've got a lot of clean traffic. Honestly, I'd be foolish to pit right now just for the clean traffic alone. More cars behind me on the lead lap that haven't pitted yet. So they're on their way in at the moment. We'll take our final field pass at the start-finish line this time by. We'll swap to Jamie McMurray first. And Kyle Busch for 15th place right in front of us. McMurray's been in 16th place pretty much this entire race. Game muted. Give me a second here. Now my car will probably pit. It might. I mean, at least we're in the window, so it doesn't really bother me. I'd like to stay out as long as I can, but if I do end up pitting, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Here we go. All right. Not to mention, we are still caution-free at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Murray is the first car one lap down. If we were to get a yellow, he would get the free pass to get back on the lead lap. Well, at least Mark Martin has clinched the most laps led, getting back to the lead here. Led a ton of laps in the race. Past Kyle Busch, but McMurray doesn't have that pull-away speed from him. Yeah, I'm going to swap to Matt Kenseth next. Then I'll swap to Biffle. Oh, boy. Already got a little loose off turn 2. I don't know why it went that way around. I thought it would have went backwards. I feel like that would have been quicker to get to him. Yeah, Kenseth in 3rd. Jimmy Johnson get around him? Must have. It's got me wondering who's in second now. So Mark Martin is now pitting. His 4-tire stop with 30 laps to go in the race. Final stop of the day for him. I guess we'll get to see who's in the lead. It's not this next car in front of Kenseth because that is a lap car, David Stremme. Yeah, it is Jimmy Johnson. I wonder how he cycled ahead of Kenseth. I don't know what Stremme was blocking Kenseth on the back straightaway for, but it was not clear. Had a little contact. Come on. Well, Mark Martin's going to be right back to being the fastest car in the racetrack again, as he was the most recent car to pit. So he is currently trying to gain time on the leaders. I almost wonder if Kenseth was kind of backing off to save fuel during this run, and that's why he was so far behind Jimmy Johnson all of a sudden, because I really don't know why the 48 car was able to get to where he was at there. Jimmy's close on fuel. He's about a lap short. It's not impossible he can make it. I feel like the pace he's running right now, he's probably leaning on not making it, but again, I do believe the 48 is a lap short. Kenseth's a few more than a few. He's probably 5-6 plus laps short. So I definitely don't think he'll make it. Biffle seems to be 2 to 3 laps to the good. He last pitted on lap 123. And we will make that swap to Greg Biffle at the start-finish line this time by. And there he is in third. Really not that far behind Matt Kenseth. I wonder if there's a chance that we could like push hard with Biffle and run him out of gas. Is that possible? I'll do it for a couple laps. We'll see where we're at from there. We are still caution free at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Brickyard 400. Biffle, of course, fresher tires than the 17 and the 48 in front of him. He pitted after him. Mark Martin has the freshest tires of anybody on the racetrack in general. Locking the brakes up a little bit that time, getting into three. That is not the interval. It said 4.5. It said 3 seconds on the top of the. Where's the crew chief getting the math? His math is off. It's like Johnson stuck behind a lap car up there. We'll swap back to Mark Martin for the rest of the race. Next time by the Art of Bricks. And Greg Biffle hasn't won a race yet this season, so he would be the 8th different winner. Assuming Johnson doesn't make it on fuel. Full contact with Kenseth in turn 4 there. That's going to slow the 16 car up a little bit. All right. 23 laps to go in the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis. My gosh, Mark Martin's quite a ways back. 17.5 seconds behind race leader Jimmy Johnson in the 10th place position. But again, we are not chasing Johnson for the win. We are chasing Greg Biffle. Even then, though, the odds seem to be stacked against us. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really lose much time to Biffle there. Because I think where I was behind Johnson was like 18, wasn't it like just over 18.5 seconds behind Johnson? I think not staying out of the pits as long and taking even fresher tires on the back side of this race. I don't think that helped a lot. If I had even fresher tires than what I have right now, it'd be an even better situation. I really only have about 6-7 lap fresher tires in Biffle at this point. I just don't think the lap times are going to be there to get to them. So 20 laps to go in the Brickyard 400 this time by. Johnson in the chute between turns 3 and 4. Mark Martin trying to catch some draft off of Paul Menard in front of him on the back straightaway. Ay, ay, ay. Well, it was gaining time, and then a little contact into turn 3 didn't help. 20 laps remain. About 3/10 quicker than Johnson that last lap. It's amazing the gap between 9th and 10th from when we transferred to Martin again. After Martin cycled 10th out of pit road from his final stop at lap at 127. Pull loose off turn 4 there. I'm digging. I'm doing as much as I can right now. I'm 4/10 quicker than Johnson. I should gain quite a few positions on cars that still have to pit before the end of the race. At least I'd like to think so. Probably 6 to 7 tenths of a second. Yeah, the problem is we don't know for sure. I wish I knew where Biffle was. Like, that's one thing with NASCAR 08, NASCAR 09, there'd be a live leaderboard, and I could actually do the math on a lap-by-lap basis from how many seconds behind Biffle I would be, but we don't know that for sure. I mean, Biffle was like 3 seconds behind Johnson last we saw of him, so if that is still the case, then it would probably be about 11.5 seconds behind Biffle. If he is losing time to Johnson, maybe it's under 11 seconds. We're running out of laps. I mean, we only have 16 to go. We're going to have to hope for a late race yellow or something here. If we get a caution, I'm staying out of the pits. So I think we'll have cars pit because there are some that can't make it. So I should leapfrog there. Cannot believe we've gone this whole race without a caution. That one mistake back on lap 92 is going to be what's going to cost us here. It's part of just having to put a full race together. It is not easy. So Harvick, I believe, would be the 9th place car up here. We don't know if he can or can't make it to the end. Mark Martin in the draft behind Harvick, gaining more time on the front straightaway. Solid corner for the 6. Harvick going to give Mark Martin plenty of room to make turn 2. Martin almost clear. Harvick hanging on that right rear corner panel a little bit is going to cost 6 a little bit of time on the back straightaway. But now completes the pass in turn 3. 13 to go for Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, I kind of figured 37.5 seconds off the lead was going to be a little too much. Find some draft behind David Stremme on the back straightaway again. $12 to go. Yeah, we definitely know Jimmy Johnson's going to be close on gas. Craig Biffle about 3 laps to the good. He pitted at lap 123. 3 laps to the good from that last run. 12.8 seconds behind Johnson. I don't know if there's anybody within vicinity that could pass Greg Biffle for position. I don't know who or like who the 4th place car on back would be. I don't know if Tony Stewart's still up in the top 5 or not. I know Kurt Busch was fast early. Ten laps to go in the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Classic fuel mileage race at Indy with this race going caution-free here this afternoon, at least to this point, with just 10 laps to go. How about Jeff Green still up in the top 10? What a run in that 66 car. I don't know if he can make it on gas or not to the end, but if he does, he's going to have a chance at a top 5 with the 17 being well short. I don't know about the 48. I would assume that he's a lap short, but because we're not going to be 100% sure until he ends up pitting. 9 laps left. Obviously, 2.5 miles, a long time around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Yeah, Sorensen giving Mark Martin plenty of room to get underneath him, but Mark obviously couldn't make the clearance off turn 4. He's a little too far back. Sorensen getting the draft off that high lane on the front straightaway behind Jeff Green. Martin clears Sorensen, the lap car. And Jeff Green's going to try to protect for this position on Mark Martin as long as he can. That was tight through turn 3. Oh my gosh. So sorry, Jeff. I overcorrected it. I got a little loose out of turn 3 again. Still about 11 seconds off the lead. Kenseth's on pit road. Moves Martin up to 7th. Jeff Green to 8th. They're just losing a spot half a lap before to Mark Martin. I think this next car's for position up here. Can't tell who it is exactly. Maybe it's Ryan Newman. He's so far ahead of me yet. Hard to tell for sure. He's probably going to be the last car I actually catch. 6 laps left. Fuel mileage race in the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis. Martin only 2/10 quicker than Johnson that last lap. Can Jimmy Johnson make it on fuel to the finish? And how about the rest of the field? There's 6 cars in front of Mark Martin. He can catch Ryan Newman here on pace. Probably get to Newman next lap if I had to guess. Don't think we're going to catch the next car beyond that. Jeff Green's going to talk to Mark Martin after. Yeah, it was an accident. At least he's still in it. We're all good. I was faster. I knew he was going to make it tight through turn 3. I didn't think he was going to get that tight. Five laps to go in the Brickyard 400 for Jimmy Johnson. Plenty of gas to make it to the end for the 6. Closes on Newman through turns 1 and 2. But imagine Newman's going to try to play as much defense as he can here. Martin looking quicker off turn 2. Trying to get to the inside of the 12. Newman wiggled in the outside lane a little bit. Mark underneath him, and Mark clear for 6th. 5 cars in front. I didn't see any of them pit that time off turn 4. 4 to go. There's 10 more miles left in the Indianapolis. I almost said the Indianapolis 500. Brickyard 400. Wrong race, same track. Some lappers coming out of the pits yet. Tony Raines leaving pit road. Not sure if anybody else just hit pit road or not. I did see one car down there, but it must have been a lapper. Two and a half laps left for Jimmy Johnson. There's a pack of cars we're catching. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to get there. I would imagine that there's some lap cars in there. I don't know if they're all lapped down or not. More cars on pit road. None of them on the lead lap. Martin remains in 6th. 2 laps to go for Jimmy Johnson. I mean, we'll see if he can make it. Had quite a few cars pit. Not a lot in the top 10, though. Remember, no cautions on the final lap. So if he does run out on the last lap, we'll have to dodge him. Oh, boy. Everybody else behind him would have to dodge him as well. He stayed out. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go for Jimmie Johnson. He pitted a lap shy of the marker to make it to the end, so he's trying to stretch it. Off of turn 2. Johnson still looks to be on speed. A long way around this 2.5-mile rectangular oval. Like real life in 06 with Johnson, it is. Fuel mileage, he's trying to make it off turn 4. Coming to the checkered flag. Does he have enough to get there? He does. Jimmie Johnson wins the Brickyard 400. Wow, he made it. I thought he was going to be short. He stretches the fuel and wins the fuel mileage race at Indy. 6th for us, unfortunately. Greg Biffle 4 seconds behind him in 2nd. Well, I thought I was racing Biffle for the win. I came to within 4.3 seconds. I mean, I knew we were too far back once we had that issue. Oh, man. Led the most laps and didn't get the win. That stings. Led the most laps and didn't even get a top 5, unfortunately. 44 laps led for Johnson en route to his win. He started 3rd. Greg Biffle, who started 12th, led 17 laps, finishing 2nd. Jeff Gordon didn't lead a lap, finished 3rd. Elliott Sadler 4th. And Kurt Busch rounds out the top 5 in 5th. Mark Martin led 75 of 160 laps today, finishing 6th. Ryan Newman 7th. 8th for Kevin Harvick. 9th for Bobby Labonte. Back-to-back top 10s for him. Who's Jay Johnson? JJ Johnson. What the? We had a fantasy driver finish in the top 10 at Indy. How did that happen? JJ Johnson rounds out the top 10. 2nd last night at Phoenix for Jimmy, and a win here today, his 2nd win of the season. And our next race will be tomorrow, also at noon Eastern Time. And that will be the Ford 400 at Homestead. And we'll look to try to rebound and get a win again. Hopefully. AI lost it for me. I don't know. I wasn't going to get 8.5 seconds on Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson Jr. It could be. It could be. That could be the JJ. Johnson Jr. Johnson. Junior Johnson. Junior Jimmie Johnson. I don't know. Mumbling now. Ends his winless streak. For Jimmy, how many races has it been since he won? Let me look. It's his 2nd win of the season. I don't know. I mean, it's been so long since we've raced this season consistently, so I can't remember where his 1st win was at. Looking it up right now. He's solid in points, though. Let's see here. Johnson won the Southern 500, so he's won 2 crown jewels. Wow. And I won the other one, the Daytona 500. So I won Daytona, and Jimmie Johnson's won 2 of the 3 crown jewels we've raced so far this season. Oh, sorry, we have raced all 4. Tony Stewart won the Coke 600. I finished 11th there. I finished 2nd at Darlington. Johnson won that race. Jimmy has won the Southern 500, and he's won the Brickyard 400 in the same season. So we've completed all 4 crown jewels. Yeah, Johnson now has 2 wins, 12 top 5s, and 17 top 10s this season. And I have 12 wins, 17 top 5s, and 19 top 10s after today. Led 75 laps. It gets me over 2,100 laps led on the season. Had a 3.3 average finish coming in. That's going to drop a little bit after finishing 6th. And Johnson's still 566 points back, so although he eats into the points lead with a win today, Martin did lead the most laps to finish 6th, so he doesn't gain a lot there. But still trying to stay strong. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Good finish. All things considered there. Fuel mileage. Margin of victory 4 seconds for Johnson, but I didn't think he was going to make it to the end. I thought there was a chance, honestly, I was going to at least finish in the top 5 just based off the fuel mileage alone. I'm surprised more cars didn't pit ahead of us there to the finish. There might have been a couple others that were short coming into the last run, but they saved enough to make it to the end. The fact he saved enough and still got by Matt Kenseth on pace is actually quite incredible, really. Kenseth obviously had to pit again before the end, but still. Lost a ton of time with the swabs, time getting there. I don't know. 8.5 seconds is a lot of time. I was only away for about 10 laps. That means I would have had to be a half a second faster than what Martin was already running a lap, which I don't think was that slow because he still gained time on Johnson. I went from 18.8 back to about 17.5 back, not racing his mark. So I don't really know that I don't think I could have gotten there. You could argue maybe I could have gotten to Biffle, who was about 4.5 seconds ahead of me, but then I would have also had to pass the other cars quicker. I don't know. I don't think I could have gotten to Jimmy. All in all, the mistake was running out of gas off of turn 2 at lap 92. I really didn't think I was anywhere close on fuel. I was going to stay out that lap and then pit the following time, but I was well short of what I thought I was going to be able to make it. So, tough break. But, at least we got a massive points lead. We'll try to get her done tomorrow. Again, noon Eastern time. Homestead is the next race. Hope to see you for that one. Thanks for watching our NASCAR 7 Brickyard 400. Have a good rest of your Saturday night, everybody.